I've been saying, these challenges really were coming out of the idea of people are looking for activities to do with kids. They're looking for things that are highly engaging and that have some sort of incentive built in for kids to want to continue to do something. So the idea of a challenge with some sort of recognition and prize at the end is one way of doing that. And we wanted these activities to both be applying engineering design principles as well as being very material light, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that you're not having to use lots of materials, anything you could find in your household. So the paper prototype challenge, Design for an Improved Living, we owe this challenge really comes from Mouse, which also has a variety of free design challenges on their website. So I want to give them credit where credit is due, but really it's about the concept of we're all sitting in our home, we're all using lots of materials and items in our daily life, and with much more intentionality than we probably had to in a long time. And so thinking about how we might want to improve some of these items. So as Jasmine also pointed out, you have the slide deck, and the slide deck is really designed with the idea that there's speaker notes in there already, so that if you want to be able to kind of use those speaker notes to add to lead the activity, or if you want to customize them yourself. But we want to make this something that you can both lead with kids, but also those one pagers are a great way. The one pager that is also in that deck, in that folder, it essentially lays out everything that's on the deck without sort of the visual aids, right? And so if for some reason you just want to send this off to kids and say, here, give us a try, that kind of provides the summary of everything you need as well. It's sort of the process, etc. So it's a nice one pager if you need a quick look at it. You don't want to go through a whole deck right now. And it gives you sort of a proposed time frame for doing all this. So let's go back to the deck though, and I can walk you through it. Alrighty. So if we can start scrolling down. Yeah, so the idea of the paper prototype is really, paper prototype is an idea, it's an easy way for people to come up with both understand a design and come up with an improved design of something that they can test out quickly. It's easy to use, it can be evaluated, you can make changes, and all it really requires is paper, tape if you need it. I'm holding up tape and paper at this moment. Scissors if you want, some markers. So really some basic household items that you can use to kind of create an improved version of something that you're using in your daily life. In the slides, if you go to the next page, we do always provide this is also nice, just some background info. This is some vocabulary words, if you're thinking about how to build the learning for kids is, what is a paper prototype? It's a paper version of a design that's used for testing and getting constructive feedback. What's reverse engineering? These are some of the concepts you're going to be using in this project. It's the idea of, you're building a reproduction of a product by doing a detailed examination of its composition. So always nice to have that as part of the work that you're doing with kids. All of these are set up sort of an introductory way to expose you to the idea. So in this one, the first way to think about this is you can have them create sort of an initial paper prototype where you literally roll up a piece of paper to a tube and you say, what is this? And it could be a flashlight. And then think about ways to, well, how could we improve that flashlight? What are some questions we could ask? Thinking about where might we want to put our finger to turn it off. Is there a place we'd want to design something so that we could have it, hang around our wrist to be easy so we don't drop it? What's the size of the lens we'd want to use? Sort of probing questions you might want to go through with kids as they think through what essentially is a piece of paper that you've rolled up. But having them start to feel comfortable with the idea of using paper as a way to think through a design and prompt some questions and some responses. So we take this through. So why are paper prototypes so useful? Well, because they communicate ideas super easily. It allows you to test out those ideas. And some of the other advantages, it's really cheap, it's quick, it's easy, it's cheap. You can throw it away and go back some other paper. It allows for a lot of experimentation, and you don't have to get all obsessive compulsive about, is this perfect, right? It's not working, it's a piece of paper, we can crumple it up, put it away, we can crumple it up, recycle it, however you want to use it. So where do you get the ideas here we always provide a list of materials. And so where do you get the ideas to start? This is an image of, you know, all these things that you have in your daily life. I was going to share, and I think I'm going to try to do this while we're all doing this over the next 4 weeks. I drink half and half with my coffee. Essentially, I use, you know, coffee as a way to have half and half every morning. And but the kind I'm buying has this top that I have a really hard time opening. It's as if it doesn't have a big enough grip, if you will. So what I'm going to be trying to do is designing a better cap, and essentially a better way to twist on and off this cap so that I can open it more easily. So that's going to be my challenge, but that's an idea of something I'm using in my daily life that I'm kind of getting annoyed by. I can't get my, I'm going to design a better top cap for my half and half bottle. So the design challenge for youth is going to be ask them to do just that. First off, we're going to ask them to create a paper prototype of something that they're using. So for my example, half and half, it could be a pen, their toothbrush, their backpack, an interface to a game they're playing. But to have them create that, sketch it out first, what it might look like, create the original paper prototype. And then the other piece is then to sketch out your ideas for the improved design and create the paper prototype of the improved design. So here we are, sketch, your first prototype, which is the existing design, the final prototype, which are your improvements. And you can do that with your family. And the nice thing about this kind of thing is you're looking for feedback from, and one of the things I think we encourage is if you're able to structure this with kids in a way so that you have some ways for them to check in with you all, right? Maybe you can have like a design check-in and have them say, okay, this is what I'm struggling with. Or share the design and get some feedback from your peers. So lots of ways we'd like, you know, there's ways that you can have them be able to get some feedback from their peers. If that's not possible, maybe it's just some feedback with you. Maybe you have a one-on-one office hours with them, or maybe it's encouraging them to talk to their family members about how they can get some feedback on this design, or even maybe talking to them about, hey, what would you do with this design if you were to make it better? What's something if they're having trouble thinking about improvement, then have them talk to some family members. And it's, so again, ways to get them to be conversating with others, doing that group brainstorming, I think, which is really important to the design process. And then having people test it out and say, yeah, I like it, or well, have you thought about this? And the other thing, if you hadn't do this with kids, is, you know, talk to them about what they would be their measure of success. So as a reminder, in all of these decks, we also have that idea of the engineering design process. And so in terms of that, you know, being able to identify that problem, brainstorm solutions, share out those, build a prototype, in this case, test it out, share that solution. So we'd love for you to have that built into the process, either with the peers, with you, or with some family members. And as Jasmine mentioned, we are looking for them to be able to document this, right? So where possible, sketch it out, take a picture of their design, record an audio of themselves talking about what they're thinking through their design, or all these ways to sort of get that process out there. And we think that's super important because you know, we make meaning when we make meaning through having those abilities to talk through what we're doing, right? And so if we're just producing without thinking it through or articulating what we're thinking, I don't think we make as deep a meaning about what we're doing. And to that end, we also have reflective questions. And those are ways for kids, again, to help them express what they're thinking, help them to make meaning, share out their ideas. So these are just some, you know, they wouldn't have to answer all of them, but we would strongly encourage them to, in this process, answer some of these. You know, what was the inspiration for this design? What gave you the idea? What did you enjoy most about this? What was the biggest challenge? What questions might you have for someone who does uses design paper prototyping in their actual work? Alrighty. And then last thing we have in this deck is we have some extensions. So, you know, if this is an idea, if you're looking for inspiration or kids are stuck for how do I do this? We have examples right here. There's an example. This is a video of a paper. It's almost like an ATM of a blood analysis machine where the person puts in a credit card and then they get out a reading and then they input their blood type and then they get a reading of their blood. And so they have 3 different examples, and it's used with, they use it with cardboard actually. And then this is another way. The other one is an example of how people use paper prototyping for game design. So they kind of, you know, they create the front screen and then they create, if you touch that screen, what's the next page it will take you. So it's almost like a storyboard approach. But these are other ways of paper prototyping being used that you can share with kids as both for inspiration, but also to help understand the concept a little more. So, and I'm going to turn it back to Fran. So